happiest place.
Yeah, and by the way, if they need a floor plan for the Villages, we actually know the whole scheme because we did our show from there.
We did, and Newt Gingrich was there over the weekend. He had a big crowd, so Mitt Romney will no doubt have a big crowd there as well. Let's talk a little bit about the state of Florida. A lot of people are comparing.
But it's amazing because the revelations from his second wife came out right before South Carolina.
Yeah.
And they had plenty of time to absorb that information and vote. And would they say,
right.
No problem. We have no problem with it.
And you could
Why
argue,
in Florida does it matter that much?
Exactly, because you could argue that the women would be more conservative in South Carolina and might be more.
You know what goes to show you? I don't know women. I mean, I have no idea where they're coming from.
Well, you only have to know the one, your wife.
Oh, that's true.
Very well, you do as well.
And my daughters.
That's right.
All right, coming up on our show, he's one of the lowest paid congressmen, so why?
You benefit yourself.
So who would be against that?
Well, good point.
Everybody.
We're going to see. But what's
Ball, and you get arrested for assault? Yep, we're not kidding. Are we looking at yet another example of the wussification of America? Is that a word yet?
Yeah.
It should be.
Is it in the dictionary? I hope so. We report and you decide.
Bounding.
I think you're exactly right. I think you hit the nail on the head there, Brian, because so many people thought, oh, that's it.
So what do other people in other states think about? We haven't forgotten about you. Even though you don't have a primary right now, there are some polls out in the swing states.
So fair and balanced, not only a slogan, we actually live by it.
Coming up on our show, Governor Mitt Romney ahead in the
past. It's all in your book, Money Well Spent. Men have more free time because they're not policing the entire parking lot, trying to get that spot very close. I'm willing to walk in the rain just to not have that aggravation of walking around trying to find a spot.
Really? I don't fall into that category because I can't park at all.
So
Specifically,
you're a bad
parallel
parker?
parking. I'm a bad parallel parker.
Who is the better parker at the Donald Trump home? Joining us right now is the author of Time to Get Tough, Donald Trump. Good morning to you, Donald.
Good morning.
You or Melania, who's the better parker?
Well, I don't want to really say, but I would give it to her. But
That's always smart.
Wow,
Smart
I'm
man.
actually surprised.
Very smart
All
man.
right.
Most of your
very
parking
good-
spots
she's
have your
actually a very
name
good
on them,
driver.
so I think you got them.
Well, she's a very good driver.
Oh, well, good to know. Hats off to Melania this morning. Let's go back to politics for a second, because yesterday you continued to stoke the fire, Mr. Trump, by saying that you're still considering a run for president. But is it too late for you now with some of these major primaries already history?
Well, I was on a certain show yesterday, and it seems that the first question always asked is, will you run? Are you thinking about running? And, you know, my answer is always the same. I really want to endorse somebody, and I'm going to be doing that over the not-too-distant future. And if that person doesn't win, you know, we'll see what happens. But my preference is to endorse somebody. I love what I'm doing, as you guys know very well. I love it, and I want to keep doing it. But I also love this country, and we have to get somebody that's going to win. So my preference is to go out and endorse somebody, and that's what I'll be doing over the not-too-distant future.
Now, it would have to be May after The Apprentice is done with this new season. But when you see some of the analysis on Mitt Romney's tax records, would that be a repellent for you, for Donald Trump to reveal everything?
No, I actually think that it's a great thing when you can show fantastic.
Let's talk a little bit about the infighting between the candidates, because I have a lot of conversations, as I'm sure you do, with friends in your community. And a lot of people sort of are looking at this with a question mark, like, well, is this a good thing for politics to have all of this infighting? Is it a good preparatory ground for going up against President Obama, or is it bad for the Republican Party? Because the negatives for both the top two candidates, Gingrich and Romney, are rising.
Well, that's right. And in theory, it should be a bad thing. But there's a possibility, and I think it maybe holds true. If you remember when John McCain won last time, there was like dead silence for 4 months. Nobody talked about it, you know, and then you had the election, and all of a sudden he reemerged and did the best he could. And unfortunately, didn't win. What happens is everybody is talking about the Republicans. Well, he has not been exactly a stellar president, so he's got his own problems. I think it might be a good thing.
Right. And, Donald, finally, Newt Gingrich was asking Santorum essentially to drop out and stop dividing the conservative vote. Would you say the same thing?
Well, it's up to them. I mean, they have to make that decision. And, you know, obviously Santorum has not caught on, certainly in Florida, if you look at the poll numbers. And, yeah, it's a tough thing, but that's really a decision that they're all going to have to make. And one by one, they will drop out, and you'll end up with one candidate, and hopefully that candidate will be very, very strong and go out and win an election, and let's see what happens. But I'll be making an endorsement sometime over the not-too-distant future.
Are you buying a golf course or a building today?
Well, I'm actually looking at something very important today.
Really?
All right, just run it by my desk before you spend anything, okay?
Absolutely.
All right, he joins us each and every. Maximize your weight loss, preventative disease, and enhance your life. That's the promise of a new book. Sound good? The authors are going to join us coming up.